Venezuela has made a crucial multi-million-dollar bond payment due on Friday, but there are still concerns over its ability to service its debts. Low oil prices, US sanctions and allegations of corruption have undermined Venezuela's cash flow. Now, Venezuela's state-run oil company PDVSA tweeted that it had paid $842 million to JP Morgan's bank accounts. It has already missed 7 interest payments this month worth $586 million. The next bond repayment of up to $1.2 billion, including interest, is due on November the 2nd. Venezuela's government has slowly drained its savings to pay off its debts, with the central bank now sitting on a meager $10 billion in reserves. For more analysis on this, let's join Oxford Economics senior economist Carlos de Sousa from London. Great to have you on Money Talks once again, Carlos. Let's talk about PDVSA and Venezuela in particular. It appears to have dodged a bullet for now, but for how much longer can they keep on doing this?
Well, yeah, the PDVSA said that they made the payment today. And we also expect them to make the payment on November the 2nd for $1.2 billion, as you just said. Our baseline is that PDVSA and Venezuela will continue to make payment on their debt all the way through the end of 2018. But that said, of course, it is a very risky bet. We think this is the most likely scenario, but there are a series of risks that they have to surmount. One of those risks is simply the actual payment being made by investment banks in the United States, because Venezuela is subject to certain financial sanctions, and because of those sanctions, the payments sometimes have taken a lot longer than they usually should. And PDVSA bonds do not have grace periods for the amortizations. So Venezuela could still fall into a technical default, but temporarily, if the payments do not reach bondholders in time. Our view is that if this happens, if this happens next week, especially, PDVSA will still make the payment at 100%, and so the default will be only temporary. But if this default lasts for more than 3 days, then it could trigger the CDS contracts. So it would be an event of default. So it is a risky business, but our call for a long time has been that PDVSA will continue to pay, and it remains our baseline scenario.
Okay. Carlos, now it appears that the Venezuelan government is prioritizing paying off its debts rather than using that money to fund its own needs and the needs of its people. In your opinion, do you think it would be better for the Venezuelan government to just simply declare a default and move on?
Well, it isn't as simple as declaring a default. They will have to restructure the debt, which is a complicated process. And many people have said that a Venezuelan restructuring would be even more difficult than Greece and Argentina combined. And without having a credible government, a government that will undertake the necessary reforms to make that debt sustainable again, creditors would be very skeptical to participate in such a debt restructuring. So, in principle, yes, if Venezuela had defaulted 2 years ago, the Venezuelan people could be much better off. But that would have to come together with a series of economic reforms that the current government is not willing to undertake. So it is not as simple as saying, I just default and keep on doing business as usual. That is not a possibility, because PDVSA has many assets in the United States that could be seized by
Okay. Carlos, now look, Venezuela's only viable commodity is oil, but its ability to produce oil has actually diminished over the last couple of years because of the lack of investment in that commodity. How much longer can it keep on producing oil, do you think?
Well, it's not that they cannot continue producing oil. It's that the oil production will continue to decline at least for the next 12 to 15 months because of insufficient investment. It's not that oil production will stop overnight. That's definitely not a thing that will happen. But we forecast oil production falling some 10% this year and next year is probable that it will contract another 5 to 10%, and then it will probably stabilize in 2019 because investments are being made, but they take some time to come in.
I see. Carlos de Sousa from Oxford Economics in London, thank you very much indeed.